This week on the Digital Coffee, it's finally here. We can now pin posts to the top of our Instagram profiles, plus 90-second reels. And over on TikTok, there's a new tool that will help you discover trends. All that and more after this. Good morning, and welcome to the Digital Coffee. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing and social media news. My name is Amanda Webb. I am your ROI mentor. What does that mean? I help businesses like yours get more return on investment from their digital marketing, from all that time and effort you spend. But enough of that, you're here to watch the news. So first up, why am I grabbing a cup? If this is your first time watching, you will not know. It's sadly empty because if I drink coffee before the show, I talk too fast. But I would like to know what you're drinking while you watch the show. I'd also like, if you want to leave me a comment, to tell me, do you still use Facebook ads, or have you ever used Facebook ads? And the reason I'm asking you that question will become clear before the end of the show. And finally, I have so much to say before we even start on the news. Do say hello if you're watching on Facebook. Give us a big hello. If you're watching on YouTube, which has been quiet recently, so if you're watching on YouTube, do say hello. And if you are watching on LinkedIn, say hello. Finally, the thing I actually was supposed to say just then was at 10:30 a.m. If you want to carry on this discussion, if you want to join in, come over to my Twitter profile where I have a Twitter space. That's an audio chat with Making Sang and you. If you want to join in, you can just listen or you can join in at 10:30 a.m. And the link to that is pinned to the top of my Twitter profile. But now I can see you're watching. Just tell me where you're watching from. There we go. There's Annette. Hello, Annette, over on Facebook. Thank you. And yes, you use Facebook ads and currently use Facebook ads. Thank you. Good morning to Kate, who is drinking tea, and yes, use Facebook ads. So good to see there are still lots of people using it. And you'll find out why I'm asking that question in a little while.
I'm Ian Undersegray and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
What is the first thing that your customers see when they arrive on your Instagram profile? Now, I know we've got highlights at the top, but they're only these tiny little circles. And I know you've got your bio, but honestly, who's reading that? Really, what they see is your first 6-9 posts that you've got on your Instagram feed. We know that. Instagram people, you know that. And that means if you're a business, you want to make sure that those posts tell the story of your business, that they tell people a little bit about what you do, what you're about, who you work for, the problems that you solve, that also it's going to be an entertaining account. I mean, no pressure or anything. And if you want to keep that up to date, it means you have to constantly be thinking about what's my next post? Is it going to fit in that sequence to tell people what I do? But now that's not the case anymore. No, that is not the case, because now you will be able to pin posts, up to 3 posts, to the top of your Instagram feed. And these will be the first posts people see about you. And I can think of lots of creative ways to use this. Now, this has been, you've heard me talk about this before. This has been in the works for a while. Is that the right one? It is the right one. So the option is there now for me. You know the way Instagram is, it may not be there for you. So what will you use this for? You could post, stuff about your products and services. You could post stuff that is your most popular posts, because they get you more traction and maybe they get you more click-throughs to your website. If you have a look at your analytics, maybe you'll find the posts that are doing the best for you there. You could talk about a lead magnet. You could talk about your customers. You could put up testimonials. You could put up case studies, anything that could help a customer find out more about you, who you serve, the problems that you solve, and maybe move them on to the next stage of getting in touch with you. You could also make it very pretty, because those three are going to be stuck at the top. So you could make them into a collage type style thing, knowing it's never going to get messed up. Honestly, I think this is great. We've been using highlights for this, but I'm not sure how many people actually look at highlights. I'd be interested to hear about your stats if you're using highlights, but I know not many people look at mine. So, but then I don't use Instagram much, so maybe I'm an anomaly. I'd like to know. Anyway, I think this is good news for businesses. I think this is well needed way to tell people about our business. We don't have that banner that we have on other social networks, so these 3 images will be the way to signpost what we do. Good morning, Deirdre. Great to see you here over on YouTube. Yes, we have someone from YouTube. We just need someone from LinkedIn now. Anyone watching on LinkedIn? I can see you're there. I can see we have people watching. So do let me know where you are. What's in your mug today, Deirdre? I'd love to know. And I'm pretty sure I'd be guessing right if I said you weren't using Facebook ads. Would I?
You're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Right now, Reels are the way that you can get discovered, that you can build an audience, that you can engage with your audience on Instagram, and actually even a little bit on Facebook. You'll know yourself from scrolling through your feeds that we're seeing a lot more Reels on Facebook. Meta know this. Meta want to tap into this. They know they have succeeded with this experiment, that people are actually using them and watching them. So they want people to create more Reels, please. Because if they create more, that gives them more space to push out ads, amongst other things. So they've upgraded Reels, both on Facebook and on Instagram. And some of these features are there for me right now. Some of them aren't, because that's the nature. That's the nature of it. So firstly, let's talk about Facebook. Facebook Reels are getting an upgrade. Firstly, you will be able to create and schedule Reels from desktop from Creator Studio. And that means Creator Studio is a business tool. So does this mean we're going to start seeing Reels on pages finally? That would be huge, right? That would be huge. So that's good news. Secondly, this one's exciting. You will be able to clip longer videos. Yes, just like this one, you'll be able to clip longer videos into Reels. So I'll be able to take a snapshot from this. Maybe it's something particularly interesting. Maybe it's a little trailer from the show. Maybe it's a bit where I messed up and it's an outtake. And I'll be able to clip that down to a reel and share it as a reel, which, you know, repurposing is all the rage, right? Anything that makes that a little bit easier for us creators will be great. Thirdly, audio tools for Facebook Reels. Firstly, you'll be able to narrate a voiceover for your reel. The most exciting one, honestly, most exciting one is you will be able to bring in sound from a video that you have on your camera roll. So instead of just bringing in the video itself, you'll just be able to bring in the audio track and overlay it with your video elements from your reel, which is great because you've probably got lots of cool little clips of sound that you can use there. I think that's brilliant. And thirdly, there'll be more digital voices choice when you're doing text to speech, which is good because I think we're getting all a little bit tired of those voices we hear. So that's Facebook. Instagram then. What are they doing with Instagram Reels? Well, firstly, 90-second Reels. We've gone up to from a minute to 90 seconds. It's there for me now. I can create a 90-second reel if I wish to create a reel. Secondly, interactive stickers. You will now be able to add things like poll stickers, slider poll stickers. I'm not sure about quizzes, but those sort of stickers will now, that you're used to having on stories, you'll now be able to add them to Instagram Reels, which I think is good. It shows a differentiation point. You'll be able to see that this is a reel, not a TikTok. I think that's kind of cool. Again, you'll be able to bring in the sound from your video clips, which is cool. And there'll be template reels. So you'll know on TikTok, if you're using TikTok, there are templates that you can start with. Something similar is what you're going to get on Reels. I'm beginning to wonder if I'm not live on LinkedIn. Because usually I have loads of you from LinkedIn here. Good morning, Howard Howie. Great to have you here. Iced lemon tea. I have one of those in the fridge. I have one because I had one in Belfast last weekend, like Lipton. It's not like a fancy one. And I was like, this is actually really nice. So I have one in the fridge, which I will enjoy later if it stays warm. So great to see you here. If anyone is watching at LinkedIn, please let me know. Somebody wants to check if I'm live there. That would be good. Annette, not many people look at highlights. They just look pretty. I agree. I don't, when I look at highlights, when I'm researching highlights is when I look at highlights. I'd be interested though, if you are a power Instagram user, do you look at them? Do you notice that people look at yours? There we go. Whew, I was having that moment. Maybe my LinkedIn wasn't connected properly. There is Ian over on LinkedIn. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know, Ian. I'm feeling very relieved. Relieved. Is that the word? Yes. I'm very, very relieved that you're there.
Hey, it's Andy at Content Cal here, and you're watching A Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
One way to get more eyes on your content on TikTok is to follow trends, to tap into trends. But how do you find out what the current trends are? How do you know if it's a new trend or if it's one that's just about to die, so it's not worth you putting your content time behind? How do you know? Well, TikTok have just made it easier. They've just launched a new thing which they're calling Creative Center. And within Creative Center, you can find what is trending on the platform. So you can go in, you can choose your country that you're in, that you want to find the trends for. You can also, there's other filters there like industry, when it was posted, and then you can choose between hashtags, songs, creators, or TikTok videos. So I did a very quick search on this. That's what you can see on the screen at the moment, to see what was trending in Ireland on Tuesday when I was looking at this tool. And in Ireland on Tuesday, the hashtag Billie Eilish was trending, which isn't surprising really, because she's playing gigs in Ireland, or she was earlier this week. It showed me that there was quite a steep trend. It had been ticking along and suddenly it went mad. And it also told me that this was going to be trending for the next 7 days. So it wasn't going to be too late for me to create a Billie Eilish video if that's what I wanted to do. Kind of made me wish, because I did go see Billie Eilish the other day, that I'd made a video while I was there, but I think I was the only person in the room who didn't. Underneath that, you can see trending videos related to that hashtag as well. And you can do that for all those options. So it could be a really good way, could be a time saver really, rather than having to scroll through tons of content to try and work out what is trending. Now, I'm excited about TikTok right now because finally I've decided I'll give it a proper go rather than just popping in every now and then to see what's happening. So if you feel brave, come and follow Spiderworking on TikTok. There's some old videos up there now, but I'm hoping to start on new ones next week. And one of the reasons I wanted to do that is every time that we cover a TikTok story, I get completely lost because I don't use the network. So I wanted to see how it worked properly, so I'd be able to tell you the news better. Is this kind of trends tool only on TikTok? So yes, I suppose trends are different on TikTok. It would probably work to use those trends on Reels, because we know that Reels copy TikToks a lot. A lot of TikTokers would put the same content on Reels, so it might work for Reels as well. But it is, I suppose the trends are slightly different on TikTok to, say, trending topics on Twitter, because trending topics on Twitter are, if you tweet about them, it doesn't mean you're going to get extra reach. It's a lot more complicated than that. But trends on TikTok really are a good way to get exposure. However, you're not going to want to. So to be honest, even if I'd taken a video at Billie Eilish, I wouldn't be using it on my TikTok, because my TikTok is about like digital marketing return on investment, which doesn't really, I can't find a way to shoehorn Billie Eilish into that just yet. So that trends tool for TikTok. You will find tools that will find you trending hashtags on other platforms, but I would say it's less important on other platforms unless you're doing some specific research into a specific topic. I've kind of fluffed that question, but ask me again later. Ask me on the space. I might know better then.
Hi, I'm Kyra Fingleton from Glamping Under the Stars, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
The skills section on LinkedIn always seems a little bit vague, doesn't it? Do you remember when it first came out and just like randomly you got hundreds of people endorsing you for, they were called endorsements at the time, for skills that you actually had absolutely no knowledge of? Do you remember that? Yeah, I remember that. So we have these skills at the bottom of our LinkedIn profile that say what we're good at, and there's little faces next to them to say what we're good at. But apparently, according to LinkedIn, they're more than that, because 40% of employers will rely on skills when they are searching for talent. So these are actually becoming more important. But they still just sat at the bottom of your profile. But no, not anymore. LinkedIn skills just got better, because you'll be able to go into your skills section, click on a skill, and you'll be able to add it to previous employment, education, publications, anything you've got on your LinkedIn profile right now. And when you do that, your skill will appear next to your employment on your profile, and also your employment for that skill will appear next to the skill on your LinkedIn profile. I think even from somebody who isn't looking for a job, that is using LinkedIn as a marketer, as a way to get business, I think this is phenomenal. I'm really glad that finally there seems to be a connect between your skills and the rest of your profile. Good news for LinkedIn and for the one person that we have watching us there.
Hi, I'm Charlie Lawrence and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Now, one thing I know that stops people making videos for their business is they do not like getting in front of camera. And I do a lot of work with people to help them with this on a lot of the courses that I run. We do lots of exercises that hopefully make people feel a little bit comfortable. But still, it's a big barrier to jump, and some people just aren't ready yet. So what if you could create an animated character of yourself, and that could be representing you on camera? Now, for those of you that watched last week, this will sound a little bit familiar, because Snapchat just posted a patent to get a digital version of you made from videos. But this is different. This is on TikTok, and these are TikTok avatars. I didn't put the moving image up, which is a shame. So TikTok avatars are a bit like the Bitmojis that we see on Snapchat, or the avatars that we can create on Facebook and Instagram. But the difference is it's a face filter. So you can construct this avatar. I tried to make it look like me. It doesn't look like me, in fairness. But this is the best that I could do. I tried to make it look like me. And basically, it's just a head, but it moves as you do. The mouth moves as you talk. The eyes move as your eyes move. It's pretty cool. Of course, the downside of this is it's not a real human being. It doesn't even come close to representing a real human being. But it could be a way to help people transition between not doing video at all into doing video, and finally removing that filter mask. I do like this. I'm sure in the future as well, we're going to be able to make them even more human-like, whether you want to make them accurate to yourself, or whether you want to create like the sort of avatar that I have in the metaverse, if that's what it's called, in the virtual world. I have like a blue-haired punk who looks about 20. Maybe that's who will be presenting the digital coffee next week, but I do like it. It looks slightly creepy, Jonathan is saying. You know what, Jonathan, you're right. It is slightly creepy. And if you'd seen one of me, I had like an animated version. I just seem to have uploaded the wrong one into my system. It's weird. And also because it's just a head, when I put my hand up to my face, it looks like it's going behind my face, which is yeah, very creepy.
Hello, this is Rob Charles, the voice of Mike on Forever FM on Peter Kay's Car Share. BAFTA award winning, I've got to say, but I've not seen the BAFTA yet. Anyway, you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. Enjoy. I'm on tea. Shh.
Twitter has come a long way since it was criticised for its lack of accessibility back in 2020. You may remember this. They launched audio tweets with a big flourish, and then People realized that the audio tweets weren't subtitled, so they weren't accessible, and called Twitter out basically about their general lack of accessibility. And in all fairness to Twitter, they reacted and said, look, we're going to set up a whole team that are going to work on accessibility in the future. And they have been. We know that accessibility is really important. It's always been important. It's even more important now that we are allowing everyone to be able to use the internet, to use our websites, to use social media. And honestly, the social media companies have been very slow on the uptake, whereas Twitter, with this commitment, have actually been racing ahead. So now they're actually launching a new accessibility feature that will actually read charts to you. So imagine that you're visually impaired. Your screen reader can read the screen, the text on the screen. You could add alt text to an image so it can read that. And Twitter has been very proactive at pushing people to add that alt text. But also, now it will be able to actually read a chart. And they've shown us this. They've demonstrated this in a tweet that which I will link to below, which shows you your analytics, and it actually reading out the chart in analytics. So this is like one step beyond what anyone else is doing right now. How will this translate to images? Because obviously in your analytics, the chart is dynamic, it's built into the code. Will this work if it is a chart that happens to be, or a graph that happens to be in an image? We'll have to wait and see. But it's just lovely to see that Twitter are finally, we are years too late here, but they are finally embracing accessibility. I can see we've got James here just at the right time. Hello, James. You're impressed with the live transcripts of Twitter Spaces. Yeah, and that was one of the things. Clubhouse didn't have live transcripts early on. Twitter Spaces came straight out with it because they've made this commitment to accessibility. And I think that really helps when a company actually takes something on board and really plunges time and energy into it. It can really work. I'm glad you're here, James, because my last story is about Facebook ads, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this on our Twitter Space later on today. But meanwhile, I'm just going to look for a button to press. Oh, here we go.
I'm Esther.
And I'm Melanie.
From the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast.
And you're watching The Digital Coffee
with Amanda Webb.
I've seen a lot of talk amongst Facebook ad experts recently about broad targeting. And broad targeting would be targeting a broad audience, right? The problem is that back in last year, when iOS 14 was launched, it stripped a lot of the data that Facebook had for identifying people's interests. So your interest-based targeting suddenly became less effective. Now, I know they're building lots of AI to help work with this, but it's always going to be less effective now that fewer people are being tracked and there is a smaller data set to work with. So broad targeting means that you're not relying on those interests. You might just be targeting women in Ireland or women in Kildare if you wanted to get me. And it looks like Facebook is acknowledging this because they have been talking to some agencies about a new tool called basic ads. And this is broad targeting. These ads, you won't be able to add any anonymized, they won't rely on anonymized personal info from users. So it means no interests. It will work. So you'll be targeting broadly women in Ireland or people in Ireland, and it will be a brand awareness ad. So you will be measuring things like engagement rate, video views, eyes on content. Now, where this can work and where broad targeting can work is now that we don't know people's interests. If you throw out a broad ad to everyone in Ireland and you find the people that are reacting to that, those people are an audience built on Facebook data. So you'll be able to retarget those people knowing they are interested in what you do. It's really interesting. We're going to have to see how this rolls out. Do they mean it's a basic ad because it's going to be really easy for everyone to use, or is it a basic ad because there is no targeting? I can see got a couple of a comment here from James, who is our expert. I'm off to an AI summit next week. Excited to see more machine learning stuff like this. take speech metrics. Is that what it's called? Speech metrics. I'm having a fumble over that. I'd love to know your thoughts on that, James. So if you want to know James's thought as a ads specialist, maybe he'll come. If you want to join myself and May King Sang at 10:30 a.m. over on Twitter, come to the pinned tweet, click into the pinned tweet. If you're on desktop, you can listen. If you're on mobile, you can either listen or you can ask to speak and have your say as well. I'd love to see you there. If you can't make it, I'll see you here. Same bat time, same bat place next week. Until then, bye-bye.